Hi, good morning. Welcome to yet another session of Sunday Live discussion with authors. Every week, we invite authors to have a candid discussion with us regarding their literary journey and their books. So, today is not any exception. I'm Antra, and our guest for today is author Indranil Roy, who has written not one, not two, but three novels. Uh, our discussion today would revolve around his latest thriller book, Strangers She Never Met, which was published 5 months back by Invincible Publishers. Strangers She Never Met is a story of two characters, Afreen, who is a college student, and Karan, who is a police inspector, and how their lives get intertwined with each other because of a terrorist attack. So the major story begins post this terrorist attack, and because of which Afreen loses her entire family, and she is forced to take up a new identity for herself, and she is living in a different country, different state, and because of this terrorist attack, Karan, the police inspector, feels dejected and is disappointed with himself because he has lost his wife in this terrorist attack, and he could not do anything about it in spite of being a police inspector. So this is the crux of the story. This is where the story begins. And when you read this book, you will get to know how the story unfolds and what more is there in store. So there are a lot of points in this story that I would like to hear, or I would like to discuss with the author himself. So without wasting much time, let me invite Indranil to join me now. So I'm going to send him a request. And we are talking to Indranil Roy, who is the author of the book Strangers She Has Never Met. Strangers She Never Met, I'm sorry. And I'm waiting for him to join the session, and let's see. So we are waiting for the guest to join us. Meanwhile, let me know if there is anything that you would like to share with me about your reading, like your reading spree. How is your reading going on this month, or if there is anything that you would like to share about this book. So do that in on the comment section so that I can read it out. And I'm going to send a request once again to our guest Indranil Roy to join. We'll continue our discussion further. Here we are going to talk today. We are talking about Indranil Roy's latest novel, Strangers She Never Met, and I hope Indranil is there. Oops, he. Okay, no problem. So let Indranil figure out, and let's see. I hope he is coming over. Hi, Indranil.
You can hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah,
Am I
hi.
audible?
Yeah, you're audible to me. Yeah.
Okay, good morning. There was you came and then you left. So I thought that something might have gone
Yeah,
wrong there.
I guess there was a network issue. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So thanks, Indranil, for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a
And
pleasure.
and I know that you are a speaker, but professionally you are an English literature teacher. And so how is your teaching life going on?
See, teaching life to be precise, teaching is the life to me.
Okay,
Teaching life is I don't separate it. Teaching is life to me, and just like any other teacher, teaching life, if you call it professionally, it has been revolutionized this year. Ever since
okay,
March, we have been just going through different corners, just trying to keep pace with everything that is going on around. And I'm not sure how far we have been able to catch up, especially due to the network issues and all that. We don't, as in such, in India, we don't have the proper infrastructure for online classes. So it's just a
Right.
patchwork. It's more like a band-aid. Online classes that are going on right, it's more like a band-aid. And the wound is
And I think,
getting,
right,
yeah,
and it's been evolutionary, and I'm sure there's much more in store regarding the teaching sector that we will see in the coming months or coming days ahead. So
definitely.
great. So tell me more, and tell my friends who are watching us right now. Tell us more about your literary journey. How did it all happen?
So precisely
Oh
I
my God, I'm
started,
so conscious now about my English. Like the moment I realize that, oh my God, he is an English teacher. Now I'm like, oh God, did I say it right?
no, that's not the issue.
Are
See,
you are you a are you a grammar Nazi? Like people who are like, oh God,
I'm not Nazi in any way. My student can vouch
okay,
for that. I am not a Nazi in any way. Practically, I am I'm a student from Bengali medium board. Okay, though I teach
okay, all right,
English as a student from
okay,
Bengali medium board, and which often I should say that acts as a disadvantage. Somehow that
okay,
schools they look for students studying in English medium schools,
okay,
ICSE or CBSE. So this often acts as a hindrance to me in my progress as well.
okay,
Now, therefore, I would say that as a writer, I won't say as a writer, but I started writing for the first time when I was in school, Bengali, obviously.
okay, okay,
I started with poetry, different kinds of poems.
okay,
Obviously, as any other person would write, the initial poems were obviously related to romance, no doubt about it.
right.
And
Adolescence and first
yeah, and all that,
crush and
obviously.
everything, right?
First crush, first heartbreak, or definitely the poetry comes after the first heartbreak, not first crush, after the first heartbreak. Now, the first time, if I remember that I wrote a poem in English, it was when I was in college.
Okay,
I just remember the name of the poem. It was somewhat named of as cancer, I guess. It was there was
okay,
certain people died around me at that point of time regarding cancer, due to cancer, rather, not regarding. And I wrote that poem. And for the first time, if I say anything that of my writing that got recognized was once again in class in first year. I wrote a
okay,
piece for our college wall magazine. That was the first ever
okay,
published work, if I can call it as
okay,
published. Now after that, I got into the teaching and hardly got much time for writing and all that. But writing had always been a passion of mine. Now I wrote here and there certain poems and certain quotes and here and that would go on. Now, for the first time that I took up seriously writing was, I guess, about 2015. I started writing
okay,
my first novel.
okay,
I half of the chapter was written, then I stopped it. And as
okay,
usual, as you know that
Teachers are very good at giving advices. Teachers are very good at giving advices. We can give lectures. We rather thrive on giving lectures. So it was about late 2015. I was telling a student of mine that have you ever done anything that you are actually proud of in your life? The first thing that you should be doing is to be proud of doing something in your life. And then while giving her the lecture, I actually realized that I haven't done anything that I should be proud of. So once again, I got back to
What
my
if she asks you back? What if
writing,
she asks
and
you
then
back and you don't have any
yeah, and
response
then
for
I
that?
started writing my first book, and it took me a year about. And then came my first book, The Man Behind the Teacher's Desk.
We have lost you.
Hello, I can hear you properly.
Yeah,
Hello,
you're back. Yeah, you're back now.
hello.
Hi.
I guess there is an issue with the audio. Yeah, I can see you.
Yes.
I can see why there isn't
Okay.
some issue with the audio.
Okay. Am I audible?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. So
I
do you
can't hear
want
you. I
to?
can't hear a word of yours.
So I'm. You want to go back? Okay. but yes, you can hear us both, but we can't. I
I
can
guess
hear
I can
him,
still
but
hear you.
so I have left you. She can hear you, but you can't hear her. That is
Maybe
the, I think no one can hear me, and this is what has been happening with me
hello.
ever since.
You can hear me
So
now?
I cannot, I can hear you.
There's
Can
a
you hear
network
me?
issue, I guess. I just can't hear a word of
Yeah,
yours.
just a minute. So this is the dilemma of the live sessions where anything can go bit out of the way. Very so. This has been the moral of my life. No one can hear me, but I can hear everyone. Am I audible now, Indranil? Can you hear me? So I think there is some network issue. Either it's from my end or from Indranil's end. Um, but yes, so we have been speaking about Indranil's uh, literary journey. He is an English teacher and he has written 3 books. And today we want to discuss about Indranil's latest book, which is a thriller, and it's called Strangers She Never Met, and it was published 5 months back. So let's wait for Indranil to join us. Meanwhile, let us, so please try to update your Instagram. I'm sure his Instagram is updated. It might be his network issue or my network issue. I'm not sure about that. Yes. So hi guys. Thank you for joining and thank you for watching us. And if you have any questions um, for me or for Indranil or for he is one of the best teacher in oh great. He seems like one. So I must say this that Soham is saying this, and yes, great. So Soham, have you read his any one of his books yet? And do share your best experience with Indranil's, like anything that you remember and which has remained with you. So, Strangers She Never Met is a thriller, and it's about 2 characters and how their lives get intertwined because of terrorist attack. And it seems like Indranil is a bit inclined towards writing about this burning issue which we are facing in the country. And the live session is not yet over. We are just waiting for Indranil to join us. He's facing some, I think, some technical issue or some network problem. But yes, so Decoding Life Post 811 is, I think, his second book, Indranil's second book, and Soham is saying that he has read that book. So I think that's great. But today we are going to talk about Strangers She Never Met. Um, and let's try to connect with Indranil. Let's see if he's there. Hi Indranil, welcome back.
Yeah, finally. Finally. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yay. And Soham is saying that you are one of his favorite teacher, one of the best teachers in the school, and he's saying so many good things about you. So you can say hi to Soham
Hi,
and
Shoham.
others. Hi.
Whoever are there. I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. So I think we were in between. Like I was listening to you sharing about your literary journey. So maybe
Yeah.
you can continue now.
So actually, as I said that my first book, it came about in, I guess, 2016 or 2017, I guess, not 2016,
Okay.
2017. Actually, it took about 1.5 years for me to write. Precisely 6 months. I was too lazy to finish it and finish the first chapter. The first chapter took at least 1 year and a month to finish. just because of my laziness. So eventually when it came out, The Man Behind the Teacher's Desk, it was actually a journey of a teacher from his childhood up to adulthood. Now, just because I'm a teacher, eventually it went on to be that it was an autobiography of mine. I was questioned repeatedly by students, by others, even by my relatives that is it your autobiography? And I had to say, no, trust me,
This is
it's
a
not my,
fiction.
it's fiction. It's a work of fiction. Maybe as a teacher, I might have some personal experience, but it's never my autobiography. So
Okay,
after my
that was
first
a
book,
work of fiction.
that was a purely a work of fiction. Obviously, some experiences where they are, see, as a writer just cannot go away from his own line.
Right,
So
right,
some of
right.
it I had to borrow from my own experience, but that person was not me, the man behind the teacher's desk, whoever it was.
Right.
Now, it went on, it was accepted well. Then I guess you remember the time of the demonetization.
Yes. Right.
So, demonetization came one of the most shocking events, as we all know, in the recent history of ours. So, my next book, what I wanted to go out was of my comfort zone. Man Behind the Teacher's Desk was written from a very comfort zone, from a few experiences
Right.
that I have as a teacher. It was quite easy for me to write.
Right.
So what I
right,
tried to
right.
do was to go out of my comfort zone, and there I wrote Decoding Life Post Age 11.
811. Right.
A story that revolves around the lives of people surrounding the demonetization and how they were impacted. But that was not the only factor there. It talked about AIDS, it talked about euthanasia, it talked about the struggle of people, and a number of things.
Right.
Now, Decoding Life was well accepted. Rather, at times, I find Decoding Life was a more mature work than my first one.
Okay.
Now, then I started thinking of something else. And ever since I was a child, I always loved reading fiction, mystery fiction, basically. So I decided that now it's time for me to try my hands there in mystery. So I started writing Strangers She Never Met. Now, the idea of Strangers She Never Met came from I should say that now I think it's the time to say, it came from a single report in 2018.
Okay.
I guess. If you remember that there was a girl in Mumbai terrorist attack, there was a girl who identified Ajmal Kasab.
Yes.
She was
Right.
afterwards she was always referred to as the Kasab's daughter and all that. She had been named after and all that. So I read that report, and I'm not saying this was based on her life. I thought that, okay, now can I have a story based on this? A girl who survives terrorist attack and then finds herself in a greater mess. She thinks that she has survived a terrorist attack, saved her country, but eventually finds herself in a greater mess. Then came Strangers She Never Met. Now, while writing Strangers She Never Met, I guess it took me about more than a year, because there were certain aspects that I had to research on. There are different aspects. Even researching some of it took me a lot of trouble.
Okay.
I had to take a lot of trouble while researching all this. And I know, had I been in America, by this time I would have been charged with terrorism and all that, because I had to search for because I had to search for so many things in Google. I had to Google so many things and read them for years. That included different acts of terrorism, the attacks of nerve gas, details of nerve gas, which are the most lethal and all that. And I must say that one of my colleagues helped me a lot, because when I came with the details of the nerve gas and I consulted with her, she said that, okay, whatever you have read in Google is valid, it's not invalid, it's not fiction. So she helped me a lot with that.
Okay.
And then came Strangers She Never Met, but in 2020. But as it is, by this time, the entire world was hit by COVID-19. And the Strangers She Never Met never came out the way I would have wanted it to, because this is the most ambitious of my works. And presently, I am all set to write the second part of it. Strangers She Never Met, where it ended. I'm just writing the second part of it, which is which I believe is more intriguing. I'm not sure whether you have read Strangers She Never Met, but by now, whatever review I have received, what is common is that they said it's extremely intriguing and it's a different take on the topic.
Right.
This is the very common factor that I've seen. At the same time, they have said that the characters have been built. Now, I should say that it took me a year and a half to complete it, and now I believe that the work that I have put in has not gone astray. It's worth it now.
Right.
Now,
So the more
go on. Yeah.
So the more people read, the more they appreciate. So the more feedback you receive and you get an idea about your work. So I think this is a great thing that you are receiving the reviews and you are going through that. That's great.
Yeah. See, readership, to be very honest, readership at present in India is quite low, and that too, it concerns around a few authors. And we, those who are writing, have to find our ways. We have to rather claw in. Somehow we have to grip and we have to crawl in a way to find a way. And I say that I'm still struggling to find that way to get a better readership. Appreciation is there. My books have been well received by the readers as well as the critics. I'm yet to receive any negative criticism regarding Stranger She Never Met. So that's a positive side of the book. But the readership that Stranger She Never Met should have got, it's way below that. It's way behind, and I guess it will catch up.
So I'm going to ask a very off-track question. Do you think publishers play an important part in marketing or promoting a book as well, apart from the author himself?
See, publishers do play a part. See, when I wrote my first book, I had no idea whatsoever that the author too have to be a salesman. Today, the authors have to be salesmen properly, sales executives in a way. And I had no idea whatsoever. Being a student of literature, I always was quite enamored by the very idea of writing. I knew that the writers are good enough. Writing a book is good enough. Never had the idea that the authors will have to be sales executive and go on with the authors marketing. That was my bad. I was ignorant. I don't blame anyone for that. So I'm trying to catch up on whatever mistakes I have made. And as you say that, it's a fact that the publishers do play a very significant part. So does the PR. And I can't afford to have a PR. Someone like me, who is a simple teacher, just can't afford to have a PR. So somehow I lag behind. I have no other options but to post a few Facebook posts, a few Instagram posts, and at times I may be going live or YouTube. That's all I have, and I have to go on with my limited resource.
Right. So I understand and I hear you, and that is where My Secret Bookshelf was it came into being when I myself was struggling to come up and figure out which book to read and which Indian author to follow. And then, as you had correctly mentioned, that there are only certain authors who are visible at any point of time. So I wanted to figure out, and I was not willing to accept that in India there are only this handful of authors. So I set out to figure out who are the other authors who are doing well. But then, yes, of course, they are not, as you mentioned, are the right salesperson or extrovert who would go out and who would beat their own drums. So I started looking out for those books, and then that is how My Secret Bookshelf came into being. And our platform is only going to talk about books or authors which we think has the potential, and readers like us should pick up and read. And these are the authors and these are the books that deserve. We will never talk about a book which is not worthy, even if that person or that publisher is paying us a tons of money. And we will never speak about those authors who are already visible and visible.
See, your organization is more like the unicorn at present. You're more like the unicorn. Rare?
which does not exist, which is
No, it does not.
imaginary.
Not imaginary in that sense, in the sense that, yeah, you are the rare ones. Those wanted, but they are rare ones. Because see, they're authors like me, they do need backup. We just can't say that, okay, we are all alone. It can't be. People need people need other
Yes,
people to come forward.
absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And there are so many other authors who are hesitant, who are not comfortable in talking about their books or talking about themselves. So I come across such authors, many authors who are not comfortable doing that. In that case, I am being the representative, and I'm going out to the communities and I'm talking about those books. And this does not end there. I am part of almost three, four, five communities, five book communities, and we are always talking about books. And these are uh, the conversations are very candid. And if I receive any, like before even starting the association that I have with you, there have been many bloggers who actually shared their feedback about Stranger. They had already read Strangers She Never Met. So I realized my what I had to realize about it, and I moved ahead. And I think that is my perception, and I would do my best. I would do my best to make sure that it's heard and it reaches my context at least. So my part, I'll try to do my part. So yes,
Yes,
I
response
totally understand. I totally understand this plight of authors, most of the authors, and I think I'll try to do as much as possible. So thank you, Intranil. And I talk a lot, so I am really sorry about it. Would you like to read few of your favorite lines from Strangers She Met? I also
Okay.
want to know. I also want to know which part was most difficult for you to conceptualize and write in Strangers She Never Met.
She, Strangers She Never Met is one such book that took a lot of time for me to write, especially because the central character happens to be a lady.
Right, right, right,
It is very easy to portray a male character, but
right,
portraying a
exactly.
lady character happens to be extremely tough. So I had to take a lot of time, try to understand what can be her thoughts, what can be her actions, and act accordingly. So it went
Right,
on. And what I found even tougher to write is any kind of dream sequence. If you ever read Decoding Life Post 811, there is a small part, I guess one paragraph, which took me about 21 days to write because it was a dream sequence. It was an abstract dream sequence, and you know how it is tough to write anything abstract. You know what
right,
to write. If it is specific, you know how to write. But if you want to
right.
write an abstract dream, it's extremely tough. The same I found there's a small dream sequence is there in Stranger She Never Met too, which I'm not going to
Okay,
read obviously. That was completely easy, but this again took a lot of time because it talks about a trauma. It talks about a traumatic experience, yet
okay.
it's a dream. So I had to be disassociative, yet I had to associate with what the person is feeling. It took a lot of time. Any kind of dream sequence, I find writing extremely tough.
That's so true.
Now, yeah, I always find this very tough. Now, as far as the lines are concerned, I have a few lines that I'm not going to take much of your time. I'm just going to take uh, I'm going to read two small lines for you. Now, as you know that Stranger She Never Met is a story about a man and a girl. Obviously, they are not in romantic relationships as we
Really.
generally have it. Now, the man stands by the girl when she is in misery and starts and tries to help her. And she is quite in shock, having lost her parents recently. So, the line that I have here the man tries to motivate the girl, quoting one of the lines that he had been said by one of his teachers. And he says that we fight our own battles differently. Each one is seemingly a war to us. But We keep on fighting with weapons that are unorthodox, indigenous, and even primeval. Every defeat hurt us equally, drains us emotionally. Our reactions run from anger and despondency to deliberate solitude. We bleed, but we never give up. So it's how he tries to motivate the girl. And I'm just going to read
Right.
one small part more, where a few chapters later, where the girl is still in misery and is trying to figure out what she is supposed to do, but she sees the man working hard enough for her to have a good life.
Right.
The chapter name is Transplantation, where the girl says that it's something in her mind, which says that now a fresh start or a retreat. The boundary was becoming uncannily blurred with every passing day. She could see a man toiling exceptionally hard to get rid of all the trouble and settle her to a new life and to keep her safe from all the troubles. But did he ever ask her what she wanted? However, it would have been hardly of any use, for even after nearly 3 months, Pooja never succeeded in drawing the basic outline of a blueprint for herself, leave alone the details. Often she felt too numb out of fright, for she knew that she was standing by the sea of loneliness. Every wave, tiny or giant, must be faced by her alone. The captain was with her at this point, but would leave the moment her boat would touch the water and would start sailing comfortably. Eventually, she would be alone, rowing through the uncharted sea of life. Okay,
Very
so
beautiful.
these are some of, since this is a mystery, I'm not getting into all these parts that would head to give you some hint of that.
Yeah,
These are
right.
a few lines that I find good after writing. See, there are certain lines which you feel good after you have written. These are a few of
Right.
such lines.
Great. Thank you so much for reading those lines for us. And Indranil, do you read in your personal, like when you have your free time, do you read anything? What's your favorite
See,
genre or any favorite
my favorite
author?
genre happens to be mystery all the time.
Okay.
And,
All right.
and precisely ever since I've started teaching, I hardly get much time for reading. And presently, whatever time I get for reading I invest it specifically for my research for the next book. I've started writing it, and I'm reading a lot at present, because
Okay.
by the time I finish reading, I've started. See, to be precise, I have already I've written the half of the first chapter, and I'm
Okay.
still going on, because there are certain things that I have to be very sure of before I get into it more. And I believe that within the next 7 or 8 months, I will be having the first draft of my next book, which is a continuation of Strangers She Never Met, the second part of it.
Okay. So my last question would have been about your upcoming work, but then you have already shared that you are actually working on the second part of Strangers She Never Met. So let's wrap up with a tip, any tip or any advice to aspiring writers that you would like to share, writers or authors who think who are thinking about getting published.
To be honest, publishing is extremely tough. There is hardly a renowned publisher who is going to give chance to an author unless you are having an excellent academic background, which I don't have. I come from a Bengali medium background, so it was always a rough journey for me. And I believe that there is hardly a few authors around, or few people around who have an excellent background and are willing to come to writing and being an author. So, but whatever you're writing, whoever is writing, whatever you're writing, just try to be honest to yourself. Don't try to write just because you want to show off. I say always, I say this even to my students, that don't show off that you can write. Write only if you can or if you want to. Don't try for showing off to someone. And
so it should be a work of your passion.
Obviously, it should be a work of your passion. Nothing else. Only passion can lead you to. And business comes later. First you write passion, first you write properly, then think of business.
Right. So I think anything that comes out of your passion is bound to do well. And when it is a work of passion, it does not matter whether it's bringing in the moolah or not. So you are just happy to see your baby out there. And I also believe that the publishing field or the publishing market in India is very way different than what it is abroad or outside India. So I think
Extremely.
a revolution is to come. It's a high time to bring in a revolution in this sector as well. And I personally have lost faith in all the big publishing, the top 5 publishing
It's very
houses.
it's very obvious when you have written at least 2 or 3 books, good books, you have sent them and they have rejected it. Well, initially you would lose faith in yourself, then you start losing faith in them.
And I think it is mostly I do not trust them because I feel that they are employees and they are not doing something out of their passion. Like when you reach out to a publisher who has started the publishing house because he wants to give a break to good authors, good talents. But then these top 5 publishing houses, I think each one of them who are handling your manuscripts are employees, and it depends upon their mood whether they had a good
Mhm.
day or not. So
Obviously.
I have lost faith in the top 5 publishing houses, and I do not hold my words back, and I can say it upfront, even to their faces. And I started actually looking for good publishing houses which are not self-publishing places, but then traditional publishing houses in India, which also groom the authors, not only just uh, proofread, but then
Mhm.
they are also there grooming the authors. So I'm looking out for one. As soon as I come across one, I'll share the details.
Definitely.
And yeah,
It's
thank you
extremely
so
tough
much.
presently to find all this, and I wish that you find one. And to be very honest, it's very tough. It's once again, it would be that unicorn which is hard to find.
I have repeatedly said this, and I'll again say that finding the right publishing house is almost like finding the right match for your life as a partner or your marriage.
It's
So
more like a
it's
marriage which hardly succeeds properly.
yes.
That's also the
So
trouble.
so so it's a polygamy, I think. But then okay, so thank you so much, Indranil, for joining in, and I had so much
It's a
fun
pleasure.
talking to
It's
you.
a pleasure.
I think this is the first time we are speaking, and it was really great. Great to know you, and I wish you all the best and all my good wishes for your next book. And I hope that this time your imagination and all your fluids run very smoothly so that you can quickly write out more interesting mystery thriller, and we get to read it soon. So thank you so much, and have a lovely Sunday and have a lovely week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I wish you all a very happy Diwali. And to all the students who have joined here, a happy Children's Day in advance. Just take care of
And do
it.
your homework.
Yeah, obviously, do your home.
Go, go and study. What are you doing on social media?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
that was Indranil, and thank you everyone for joining in. Indranil, who is a teacher, but then he has written 3 books, and his Strangers She Never Met. We spoke about that today. I would like to take the opportunity before wrapping up that do visit our online bookstore www.mysecretbookshelf.co.in, and there's a lot of sale going on. We are also coming up with Diwali sale. Our pricing is way lesser than any of the e-commerce websites. Like if it is 100 in Amazon, our price will be $80. So do visit, do go through the books that we have listed. We read the books before getting them listed on our bookstore. So do go through it. It would be like it would mean a lot. And the books that we list are very rare picks. They are something that we think, My Secret Bookshelf team thinks that you must read. So yes, go through it, and there are many books which are available, which are signed copies. The authors are signing them, or even there are many authors who are sending out personalized notes, handwritten notes. Like if you purchase Damayanti Vishwas's "You Beneath Your Skin," she is going to send you handwritten note. So why not take a chance? And it's on discount, so it's a brilliant book. So there are a lot of books which are available. So go and check our online bookstore. And thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you. Bye.